My guest today is Joel Birch. Joel is the CEO of Stacked Invest, and Joel's Twitter bio says that he is a crypto degen. Since 2015, he's a startup and product nerd. He's a JPEG hoarder, an NFT connoisseur, I'm sure, but we're really here today to talk about Stacked Invest. Welcome to the show, Joel.
Thanks for having me, Andy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So look, I'm sure we'll touch on all this stuff as we go, but really, as I say, we're here to talk about Stacked. But I think just before we do that, it would probably inform the discussion if we can hear a little bit about your kind of personal background, career path, esoteric interests that have kind of led you up to doing what you do now at Stacked.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. I've been very entrepreneurial my entire life. I come from really humble beginnings, raised by a single dad, immigrated to this country when I was super young. And so as I got into my teenage years, and this is in the early 2000s, I was quickly fascinated by the internet, right? I was quickly fascinated by the idea of the internet and building businesses on it, and eventually I basically taught myself how to build websites when I was 16, 17 years old. Back then, building websites was very different. But as I got into college, which I went on to drop out multiple times before graduating, but when I first got into college, the only way that I was figuring out how to make money was going online in 2006, 2007 and Googling how to make money. So as a result, you come up with the earliest versions of drop shipping and courses and gurus and lotions and potions and all that kind of stuff. This is before Shopify exists or anything. But to me, just this normal kid from the neighborhood, it blew my mind that so many people, even back then, were able to make so much money and have so much impact by utilizing the internet. Well, one thing leads to another as I kind of get my early career sorted out. I work in sales, I work in business. I get an opportunity to join a super fast growing tech startup called Grubhub. And this is in 2013. And so this is just after the kind of Web 2 rush really started. And Grubhub was a fairly early part of that. Grubhub in 2013 was, and technically they were founded in 2009, but in 2013 when I joined, was still just an online ordering system. And we evolved that business over the course of a half a decade. Into one of the largest, on-demand restaurant delivery apps in the world. And we merged and acquired companies, and we IPO'd, and then eventually Grubhub actually sold after I left. So I did spend 5 years working in this traditional startup ecosystem, which was really what opened my eyes to the world of venture capital and this kind of growth stock world. But it was Grubhub in 2015 that led me to find Bitcoin. Bunch of my friends were software engineers at an early stage tech startup, 2015, 7 years ago now. And I came across Bitcoin as a result of one of my friends telling me about it. I didn't really pretend to understand it. And frankly, I used my earliest Bitcoin to play blackjack online. And so as my story goes, in the earliest parts of my crypto journey, I was just using Bitcoin to play blackjack on BitStars. And it wasn't until 2017 when Ethereum really started to gain some notoriety, especially as a result of it getting listed on Coinbase, that I think the light bulb went off for me, and I realized kind of what was happening and the impact that crypto might be able to have. And the rest is history, as they say. I've spent the last 5 years full time in the crypto space. The last three of that has been running Stacked, so I'm excited to talk about that more too.
Yeah, that's a fascinating background there, Joel. But also a kind of I suppose it's not a typical story, but it is in some ways. A lot of people their first encounter with Bitcoin, they don't necessarily understand it. They don't perhaps value it as highly as they should, particularly if you go back into those early days. And I can just imagine you, gambling away your early
Tons of Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin
So
was only a couple $100s at the time. So
yeah, exactly right. All right then. So we're I guess 2017, very early 2017, the market is starting to pick up, and of course, that market just gets it gets more bullish and more exciting as 2017 progresses. Ethereum, of course, is doing big things in Ethereum as well, and the whole ICO thing is starting to take off. So where are we now? And yeah, pick up the story and move up to where Stacked
Yeah.
Invest, I should say, comes into the picture.
So people that were around then will remember 2017 fondly. It was really when crypto made its first kind of mainstream publicity. Bitcoin was lightly talked about in more niche ways, but 2017 really put crypto on the map in early 2018. So I'm working at Grubhub, and at this point, earlier in the year in 2017, a Bitcoin ETF was denied. And at the time, I didn't really understand what that meant. Now, all this time later, we've obviously had like 100 Bitcoin ETFs get denied. But at the time, my bright idea, as someone who was holding all my money on Coinbase, I got the idea, well, if the ETF gets denied, obviously the price is going to go down. So I'll sell the Bitcoin. And if it gets approved, great. And this was the trade. This was my trade thesis at the time. And it was denied. And I was home after getting wisdom teeth surgery, and I was watching whatever I was watching. I think it was something on the internet, actually. Gets denied. I sell all my Bitcoin thinking I'm some kind of day trader. And I notice on Coinbase, they have two other coins listed, Litecoin and Ethereum. And I did a little bit of research, not much, but I ended up putting my entire portfolio into Ethereum at $8 after the Bitcoin got denied, ETF. So the rest of 2017 for the majority is me holding Ethereum as it goes from $8 to 40 to 50 to 100. And me, obviously, I'm a genius now. And now I'm a day trader. And so that's what I decide I'm going to spend the rest of 2017 trying to do, is be a day trader. And I basically just slowly bled out a bunch of Ethereum for the most part, until we got to the latter part of 2017 where everything just went nuts and people are investing in ICOs and that sort of thing. So I quit my job. That's what you do after a bull market, of course. I quit my job that I worked so hard for, and without much of a plan. And I just made a bunch of money in crypto. I'm going to quit my job, and I'm going to be a full-time crypto entrepreneur. And I didn't have the idea for Stacked at the time. As soon as I quit my job, Bitcoin bear market started. It was January 2018 at that point, and I spent the next 3 years learning the hard way what conviction really looks like, and what it really means to take that kind of a leap. I could have run back. I probably could have gone and got my job back, or certainly some other job. I feel like I'm fairly employable, but I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And I was more determined to, again, I'd made a little bit of money. I didn't need to rush back to work. I was a little bit more determined to take that time to get super serious about the industry and see if I can't build something inside of it. It's an industry that I've grown to be obsessed with. I've been this scrappy entrepreneur at this point for quite a number of years, chasing different ideas, trying to find the next Uber, without passion. And the two things came together. So, like I said, it was a bear market. So the majority of that first year or so was not a lot to report. It was a lot of me hanging out with my friends, playing Fortnite, trying to day trade the bear market. But of course, if you've spent any time in crypto, you understand how complicated it is. And you understand how complicated it can feel to be a new person. And when you lose as much money as me and my friends lost trying to navigate the market as a trader, you start to get a lot of empathy for all of the people who have invested into the crypto asset class back then and most recently, that are not equipped to be traders at all, nor do they have any desire to be traders. And you have your parents and your cousins and your siblings asking you about this crypto thing you're into. And I'm telling them, well, I day trade and things of that sort. So I decided at that point, I wanted to build something, some sort of a service that would actually allow people to get kind of done for you portfolios in crypto. Why be a day trader if someone else can just do it for you? That was kind of the big idea. And this is back in 2019. So me and my co-founder, we start scrapping together, we scrap together some extra cash. We scrap together a pitch deck. We start putting this idea together. And long story short, this led to us over the next year building the first version of Stacked, which was a software piece of software that sits on top of your cryptocurrency exchange and allows you to essentially copy other traders. So you can just connect your Coinbase, connect your FTX account, connect your BitMEX account, or what have you, and you can copy the strategies of other traders. This was, hey, trading's hard, so let's build a system that allows you to not have to do it anymore. And so that first year was spent strictly building, networking. I got very fortunate to meet Sam Bankman-Fried and the FTX team fairly early, like long before anyone else cared who FTX was, Alameda, Bybit. Just built a great network of tons of friends and tons of people in the space that now many of us have gone on to build pretty sizable businesses. And in 2020, we launched, and that was when the bull market started. So basically, we spent the last year of the bear market building, and then we launched our MVP at the beginning of kind of DeFi summer, and it blew up. A lot of people, thousands of people signed up to use the platform to automate their trading. And for the next 18 months, basically Stacked became one of the largest automated trading platforms in crypto. We started to process well over $1 billion a month in order volume, transactional order volume, all completely automated, had hundreds of millions of dollars connected to the platform. And that's kind of where we get to the next part of the story, which takes us up until, maybe mid last year, where we started to take a very serious look at what happens with the business next. We built this really cool software. A lot of people use it, but is it accomplishing all of our goals? Is it helping to set the standard in long-term crypto investing? We ultimately came to the conclusion that we wanted to move forward and become a regulated entity and start to work to become crypto's robo-advisor, crypto's regulated, compliant, safe, done for you, mobile first, automated, investment advisor. And so over the last 8 months, we closed a Series A, and we've been building towards that product to launch later this year, where we'll have one of crypto's first regulated managed products where you can just take a risk assessment. We can learn about your financial goals. We give you a custom pre-built portfolio. It's adjusted for risk with stable coins that are earning yield, and it's set it and forget it. And so we're definitely transitioning from this trading tool to this investing tool, and that's super exciting.
Yeah, okay. Well, that is exciting, Joel. And, just for the benefit of the audience, I'd love to understand, are there any restrictions on who is able to use Stacked around the world?
So today, again, if you're using the software layer of Stacked, we support 8 major exchanges. And so if you are a client of one of those exchanges, like FTX or Binance or Bybit or BitMEX, then you can use Stacked, right? It's all just kind of dependent if you have an account on one of those underlying exchanges. Once we release our regulated product, there will be some jurisdictional restrictions, but we are fully intending on launching everywhere in the United States, with the exception very likely of New York. And then we have some pretty exciting global launch plans as well that I can't dive too far into, but we are working to get regulated in a couple different global jurisdictions, which is super exciting. So we are currently registered with the SEC as an investment advisor. We're an RIA, and we're really one of the only crypto native firms that are registered with the SEC as an RIA. So puts us in a unique category.
Nice. All right. Well, I'd love to hear you just kind of explain some of the details of how the Stacked Invest experience stacks up, if you like, Joel. So, the kind of the top line heading for Stacked is that you can manage your assets and instantly invest in pre-built portfolios and strategies from leading funds and traders. I'm just kind of reading this from some copy from, I think it's from your website or your blogs, Joel, and you talk about what you call pre-built stacks, right? Which are designed to give you instant access to pre-built portfolios modeled after some of the most popular crypto indexes, hedge funds and other investor portfolios. So, hey, this sounds very, very useful. Expand on that a little bit.
So going back to our belief that trading crypto is not a great experience for most people. So it's important if you're a listener and you're even asking yourself, why should I care about Stacked at all? It's because very likely if you're listening, you care about crypto. And that means very likely if you're listening, you fall into the 95% of people who can't be profitable long-term trading. Most people are not profitable long-term trading. So this all starts with a thesis that right now the only way to access crypto in any meaningful way is to trade it. Coinbase, a crypto exchange, crypto.com, a crypto exchange, FTX, a crypto exchange, right? They're all crypto exchanges. They're all products trying to get you eToro, Robinhood, Webull, Public, all trying to get you to buy Dogecoin or buy Shiba Inu. And then what? Hold it, panic sell it, hope for Elon to tweet. We've all been there. Everyone listening right now has been in a place where, listen, Stacked isn't making it easier to buy crypto. People made it easier to buy crypto 5 years ago. Coinbase made it very simple to buy crypto. But what crypto do you buy? Right? Well, great. Coinbase has given you an entire academy. Binance has built you an entire academy. You can learn everything you want about blockchain technology. Well, that sounds like a real page turner for my grandmother. It's not a super effective way to be profitable in crypto. You're basically forced to become a day trader, or you're out. Or you're a diamond-handed hodler who's going to spend 80% of your days in the red, because that's what crypto does historically. So with that understanding that we're building a product, now listen, if you're smarter than the market and you can day trade, there's great products out there. You should go check them out. Great exchanges, great tools. That's not what Stacked is built for. But if you're someone who just wants a done-for-you solution where you still have your own controls, you still have access to your money, and you can move it around as you see fit, that's what we're building here with Stacked. So there's two major components. There's a self-directed portion of our product and a managed portion of our product, and it's exactly what it sounds like. On the self-directed portion, you're using Stacked to manage your own portfolio. If you do love Dogecoin, more power to you. We'll give you the ability to hold it, and depending on where you are, potentially even lend it. But if you're like most people, you have no idea where to start or what the portfolio should look like long-term, you come into Stacked, you take a risk assessment, which is powered by one of our partners. And over the course of 3 or 4 minutes, we're able to generate a unique score for your risk. So let's say you're a middle of the road risk, right? You're a 5 out of 10, right there in the middle. The Stacked portfolio that's generated for you is going to be appropriately
how do you calculate
risk-weighted.
that risk? How do you calculate that risk, Joel? Just give us a sense of
Yeah,
how that works.
Yeah, so it's a great question. We partner with a company called Riskalyze, who has really perfected the process of suitability assessments at a level that's suitable for the SEC and the regulators that are out there. And the exact methodology is a proprietary, it's a proprietary equation, if you will. But essentially, learning about your investment horizon, your previous investment experience, your income level, what your general tolerances. Am I investing money I cannot afford to lose? Or am I investing $1,000 I don't care about? These are all important things to understand. Questions that Coinbase or any other crypto exchange is never going to ask you, because they don't care whether or not you make money. It's not inside their purview. As a fiduciary, we have a legal responsibility to care. And so we have a legal responsibility to try to measure your suitability, figure out how risk averse you are as a client. And that takes a lot more than just saying, hey, Andy, low, medium, or high risk. How are you feeling today? And you're like, low risk. That's not enough, right? So we take the time to learn about you using this proprietary system that's done by a third party. So you're not relying on Stack to figure it out. Another firm that's been doing this for years at scale has figured it out for us. We get your risk score, and then we build you your portfolio automatically. So the big question then is, how do you have a risk-adjusted portfolio in crypto when all of the assets are completely correlated? Meaning, Andy, if you have a diversified portfolio of 10 cryptos, in the last 4 months, since Bitcoin's been down 55%, your diversified portfolio of 10 cryptos is almost assuredly down more than 55%, at least 55, probably 65, 75, 80%. And the more diversification you have, the more down you are. Because as you and I both know, at least today, this remains true, the market follows Bitcoin. And right now, Bitcoin is up in the air. It's down 50%. And if it's a bear market, it's definitely, there's all kinds of questions, but it's going to move the market with it. On Stacked, when you get your risk-adjusted portfolio, depending on what that number is, that risk score, we are going to counterbalance your portfolio with a certain percentage of stable coins that are going to be lent through our lending desk partners and earning you a stable return. 8 to 12% APY is usually what you can get on USDC or Tether in this case. And so if you're a super low risk investor, your Stacked portfolio may be 80% stable coins. earning 9% a year. And you're happy as a clam because when the market dumps 60%, you're down 6%. I'm making up numbers, obviously, but you're not taking that full drawdown of Bitcoin, and you don't get the upside either. But again, for my dad, his 15%, 20% in a bull market is perfectly acceptable, especially when he doesn't lose it all when it all goes down 70, 80%. There's a there's this big element. A lot of people made a lot of money in crypto. How many of them kept it? Right? Doge has been in a bear market since May of last year. It's been 12 months. It's gone nothing but down. How many people took profits? We haven't seen a lot of capitulation yet. So we're seeing a lot of people hodl down 80+%. So that's the spirit of a risk adjusted portfolio. Now you come out of that risk assessment with a very high risk tolerance. Maybe only 10% of that stacked portfolio is allocated to stables. But we take the time to learn about our clients and then, of course, protect them. And this is all part of the future product offering that's going to roll out later this year.
Yeah, so well said, Joel. And look, I relate to a lot of this, of course, as will the listeners and the viewers. It's just that is the nature of crypto. Typically the entry point for most people is somewhere near the top of a bear market. That's when they come in, they dabble their toes, they see what they feel are insane profits, so they put more money in, and then boom, the market turns against them. And they watch their portfolio experience a 95% drawdown, and it's only those who can kind of suffer that volatility and wait through that bear market, and then they do it all again. That's how true crypto investors are born. But I mean, yeah, it does feel like the way you talk about this, it really does seem like a product that is very much needed across crypto, because so true, 95% of people have no business trading, and unfortunately that is the tough lesson that many people learn as well. So you're right, you do either become a diamond-handed holder with a 10-year time horizon, or you can get a little bit smarter and use tools such as Stacked. So talk us through some of the actual, I suppose, trading strategies, or kind of portfolios or funds, kind of the different strategies that are available, and who is behind those, Joel?
Well,
how does that all work?
Yeah, so this when we use the word strategies, it's kind of tough for us because we're in this transition period to roll out this regulated product. So the product as it exists today has strategies available, but it's not really relevant to the future of our business or to our listeners because it is basically falling inside this trading category. In the future versions of Stacked and in the existing version today, on the self-directed side of our product, you have stacks, which is something you mentioned. And those are pre-built portfolios themed after, popular themes, built after popular themes. So for instance, DeFi. A lot of people hear DeFi, but they don't know what it is. So we built a couple of just sample portfolios of DeFi assets. We weighted them by different amounts, like market cap or whatever the case may be. And it's just a one-click kind of head start for those of you that want to self-direct, that want to, hey, I know better, I'm going to do it myself. I know I want to get into DeFi. It's just the quickest way to invest in an NFT basket or a DeFi basket or a gaming token basket or something to that effect. On the back end, for our risk-adjusted portfolios, we have an internal investment team that is structuring those portfolios using some pretty exciting methodologies that we'll be sharing publicly via a white paper when we launch the product. And so there'll be a lot more that comes out. Essentially, as I kind of addressed, there's going to be some weighting, and it'll be different for each client, right? Depending on their risk profile, but there'll be some weighting of stable assets that are secured by our vaults and lent through our lending partners. That's an exciting opportunity because lending is otherwise somewhat difficult for people to access, especially in the US. But again, we're working with regulators to get through some hurdles, and that's going to be exciting to launch. And then the rest of the portfolios will be made up of individual assets like Bitcoin and ETH and Solana and things like that, as well as some of these stacks. So if you're in a higher risk portfolio, you may have a part of that portfolio dedicated to NFT tokens. Those are going to have a lot more upside. They're going to have a lot more volatility. They're going to have a lot more downside. And therefore, it's probably going to make up a smaller part of your portfolio. The whole idea here, though, is that the user doesn't have to think about this stuff, right? If you're using a crypto exchange like Coinbase, you have to do your own research and make your own decisions and decide what coins to buy and decide when to sell them and worry about taxes and all the stuff that comes with it. And we're just trying to eliminate all of that And for us, it's also an understanding for me as an entrepreneur in this industry, especially if Stacked doesn't do it, others will, and others are working towards it. So it's an inevitability that we have more regulated, more well thought out, safer investment products in crypto. And Stacked is one of those, and we're trying to be a market leader.
Awesome. And well, tell us, Joel, love to understand anything that you're willing to share in terms of, user growth metrics, all that kind of stuff, or like, money coming in, how much you're handling in terms of investments, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, it would have been going up in the the bull market. So, yeah, what does that kind of journey look like in terms of user growth acquisition?
So the managed product that I've been mostly referencing, that launches later this year. So we don't have users on that product. We're still working with regulators, and we're still working through some of the technology and everything else that comes with launching a product like that. Again, we're trying to set the standard and really write the book on how this is done in a compliant way. Regulation's a big thing that you'll hear us focus on here at Stack. But our legacy platform, our software platforms, amass tens of thousands of users, have had hundreds of millions of dollars connected to the platform, and we've done well over $15 billion worth of automated market order volume for users. So there's, again, a ton of throughput on that side of the business. What we're really excited about is that we, in anticipation of our managed products, we launched a waitlist recently. And so you can access the waitlist on our website, and it allows you to join the waitlist and sign up in advance. So that way, when our managed product launches, you can download the app and you can get into the whole new Stacked experience. And we've actually had over 150,000 people sign up on that waitlist already in the last about 8 weeks or so. And a lot of that comes from the benefit of Stacked already having this market presence. So even though we're launching this newer product as a part of this advanced, more evolved journey for our business and for our customers, we've been around for years. We built great relationships. We've generated some of the largest volume amounts on some of the biggest exchanges that you're familiar with. And so a lot of people were really excited to hear that we're evolving the business beyond trading strategies, which accomplishes, solving for a problem for 10% of investors. And now we're rolling out this compliant, regulated product that's going to be more relevant for 90% of people. And so seeing over 100,000 people join the waitlist, mostly from referrals, is something that's super exciting. And it shows how important this type of product is, because frankly, Andy, crypto traders and investors are sick and tired of being shilled another coin. They're tired of seeing their portfolios suffer from extreme volatility and feel like they have no grasp on why that is. Why did Shiba Inu pump 17% today? Why is Cardano up 14% today? Why is Solana down 5%? Most people don't know what's going on. And so we're really just trying to give people a place where they can, I think, have some peace of mind that regardless of what's happening in the crypto market, there's a team at Stacked that is thinking about your portfolio and trying to position you to be successful long term. Because our thesis is, if you're investing in this space over a 10-year period, it's going to outperform every other investment class. And that thesis is grounded mostly on the historical context, that is crypto being the most profitable investment class of the last decade. And that's during a Web 2 bull market. That's when Uber and Facebook and Amazon blew up. And even comparing to those incredible technologies, from an investment return standpoint, nothing has even gotten close to what crypto has experienced as an industry, as an index, not just one off, over the last 10 years. So yeah, Andreessen Horowitz, Pantera, Google, Facebook, Meta, now you name it, dumping billions of dollars. Why is that? Well, Andy, it's because they did it in Web 2 in 2000 to 2022 and built Uber and all these big businesses. And now they want to do it again with Web 3. And there's going to be tons of companies that rival some of those legacy businesses we're familiar with. And you're already seeing one of the most powerful brands on earth, Facebook. They didn't just put out a product. They didn't just make a wallet. They didn't just put out a product feature. They changed the entire name of the entire company to be more in line with a Web3 future. Not necessarily crypto, but by changing the name of their company to Meta, I think it definitely shows where their head's at. And that's what makes me so excited to work, in this space.
Yeah, really nicely said there, Joel. And that feels like a nice place to pause very briefly. We'll go to a break and then we'll come back. We'll have some fun. We'll finish off. We'll run you through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. Just before we do that, just for the benefit of the listeners, Joel, tell the people where they should go if they want to get involved with what you guys are building at Stacked and maybe get on the wait list, all that good
Yeah.
stuff.
We'd love for you to join the waitlist. You can do so by going to waitlist.stackedinvest.com, or I believe you can just go to stackedinvest.com and you'll find your way there as well. You can also sign up for our legacy platform and check us out on Twitter at stackedinvest.
Awesome. All right, we'll go to a break and we'll be right back with Joel and the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. And boom, we are back. If you're watching on YouTube, we've been here all along, but I'm with Joel Birch. Joel, of course, is the CEO and the founder of Stacked Invest. Been enjoying talking with Joel today. I think he's going to be a fun one to run through the Crypto Conversation hot take round. So Joel, as you may or may not know, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid fire Crypto Conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Let's do it, Joel. All right. First question, just want kind of quick, snappy answers, hot take style. That is how we roll. The first question is, where would you say you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
I am 40% Bitcoin maximalist, 60% multi-chain at this juncture.
I like it. It's a barbell strategy. Very good. What would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion, Joel?
Solana will be very likely the largest layer one, in my opinion. I do actually think it's got the best chance at beating Ethereum. And there's many competitors to Ethereum, and my high conviction play is Solana when we're comparing it to Avex and others.
Nice. All right. Well, Joel, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So, whatever you like here, blockchain, Web3, or even Stacked. But what does it all look like in 10 years' time?
In 10 years' time, Stacked will be one of the largest asset managers on Earth. That's definitely our mission, and we're well on our way and well positioned to do it as a global asset manager. There's very few of those that exist anywhere. And that's the beauty of crypto. Very low barrier to entry, and it's a globally accepted industry, if you will. And there's very few of those. When I look at Web3, what I see is this technology evolving in such a way that it actually does become the technology rails of choice for those legacy Web2 businesses. When you start to see Uber and Amazon, just as two of many, 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 many examples, move into a place where they're hosting their technology in a decentralized way because it saves them time and money, they will pass those savings to consumers. Everything becomes more efficient. Middlemen get cut out. Transaction fees go towards zero. There's no MasterCard, blah, blah, blah. There's all of these good reasons, but until those Web2 native companies, are making that transition, you're not going to have mass adoption. You need people to need it in their everyday life. But I do think that's achievable in the next decade.
Totally, very achievable, Joel. The flip side of this, of course, is a quote by sci-fi author William Gibson, who said that the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, Joel, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people just aren't really aware of it?
Well, I think that investing in general, so is the best example of what people aren't aware of in terms of how easy it is and how low the barrier to entry is, not just in crypto, but investing across the board. You can invest in art, real estate, startups, stocks, bonds, treasuries, cryptocurrencies, and you can do it all on the internet, and you can do almost all of it as a non-accredited investor, and you can do almost all of it in safe ways, and you can do almost all of it with little to no money. And most people haven't quite gotten. We have the meme traders that kicked off the last bull market. You start to hear about everyone becoming a day trader, but that's still such a small percentage of people. And investing as a service and investing in general is the best way to build wealth, as any of us who've done it knows. And that is the secret to the majority, the average person having an opportunity to kind of move up the ranks. And so that people just don't realize how important it is and how easy it is and how little people think, oh, to be an investor, if I want to buy Netflix, I need to come up with $500. No, you don't. You know, on most of these platforms, you can invest with $5 and you can start today. And in 50 years, it would blow you away how much money you have.
Absolutely. All right. Well, time to zoom out. Time to get weird just for a second. What do you see as the long-term future for the human race, Joel? Do you see dystopia or utopia?
Well, my gut says dystopia, unfortunately. You know, but I would like to see something that's a little bit more utopian for sure. I do think that there's an opportunity with technology to bridge the gap across the world, like make it easier to communicate and transact and do business with people at a global scale, bring people together, raise the GDP, if you will, of the entire planet, bring everyone up with it. But it does look like a fairly corporately run bureaucratic future today. Like that, if I was a betting man, I would not be I would not be super excited, you know, to be one of like our country's blue collar workers or something to that effect, like my father was. There's not a lot to be super optimistic about. I hope we can do
Yeah,
something to fix that.
I hope so too. Well, let's not get too dystopian here at the end of the show. Let's keep it light. Let's keep it fun. We'll close
Yeah.
out the show, Joel, with the final question, which is what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
Well, you know, I'm really into all sorts of alien movies. I love alien stuff. I love the idea. And so I would have to say Interstellar. It's almost too cliche of an answer at this point, but it's also such a brilliant example of scientifically accurate filmmaking that it's just the first one that comes to mind. So hopefully we can all agree on that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Interstellar, an absolute classic, and yeah, it's an inspirational movie. So we'll take that. That's a great choice. Well, let's finish this off, Joel. It's been really fun talking to you. I've enjoyed hearing you talk about Stacked. It sounds like a great platform, and I wish you all the best with it. Please just close us out by telling the people where they can find you on Twitter or wherever else you like to hang out, and again where they should go to get on the waitlist and learn what Stacked is all about.
Yeah, thanks again, Andy. Really appreciate it. Happy to share my thoughts. Hopefully we can do it again once we've launched the product and talk a little bit more about the market once it starts to settle down a little bit. But you can find me on Twitter at Bitcoin Birch. That's my handle. You can find Stacked at Stacked Crypto and stackedinvest.com. But Twitter is where I unfortunately do spend most of my hours where I'm not working. So if you want to talk shop, slide into my DMs or just tag me and I'm happy to talk shop.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Joel. All the best, and bye for now.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers.
All right, there you go. That was Joel from Stacked. Sounds like a very interesting product indeed. Be interesting to see how all this plays out, but definitely a need for those kind of tools and services to empower the average crypto investor. Yeah, so good stuff. All right. Well, that is today's show, team. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the Crypto Conversation podcast in whatever podcast app you are using, or indeed on YouTube, on the Brave New Coin YouTube channel. But that's today's show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See you.